Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Nothing to See Here podcast. Hello, it's Frankie. Hi.
Hello, it's Hannah.
Hey guys, did you know that we launched our podcast today?
It's premiere day.
It is. It's premiere day as we're recording this. It's the day we've launched our first episode, so hopefully you've listened.
Learned all about gay literary vampires.
Fun
And
episode.
yeah, one episode, wait for the others for the rest of the week, and
Fun.
then
Amanda will be talking about therapy speech tomorrow.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was a good episode. Fun
Mhm.
panic of me realizing I uploaded. Well, I didn't upload the wrong thing. It just GarageBand is a weird program
It is a weird program.
that when you delete audio from it, it still saves that audio in the file.
So
Make it make sense.
how did you fix that?
I had to join. So when I edit, I start with just one large audio file, and then I cut it out. I cut it up.
Yeah,
So I cut out silences. I cut out Amanda saying right all the time. I cut out offensive things. I cut out things that just one of us don't want in the episode. Like if we've messed up way too much or got off track way too much,
it's
and it's
gone.
not making sense anymore, I take it out.
Edit that out.
And then I end up with, like, let's say 100 different smaller audio clips, but they all run together, so it seems like a cohesive conversation. There's no like big breaks in between where I cut out, because that would defeat the purpose of cutting out silences. But apparently, when you do that and then you upload that version of the file, everything that you cut out stays in there. So you have to rejoin every little piece that has been cut up into one audio file once again. It doesn't take that long to do. It's literally just 2 button presses on GarageBand, but I didn't know you had to do that.
Interesting. I'd also like to two things. One, did you guys hear my mother?
Yeah.
I heard a cackle.
Yeah, I heard a cackle. That was about it.
Oh, okay, good. Second, and this is more for our viewers. Whatever we say, the word, and this might end up getting cut, funny enough. Whenever we say the word offensive, we don't set out to be offensive.
No, we don't. We're not saying anything to purposely be offensive. It's just in the moment we say it, we might think it's a funny joke. We might think that it would land, and then looking back on it, or
Does
sometimes
not.
in the moment, the other two realize, hey, maybe that shouldn't be in. Or while I'm editing, I go, hey, that didn't land as well as we thought it did. We'll cut
Yeah.
things.
We're not
And
saying slurs.
no,
No,
I've
it's not.
I've never cut a slur. No one's ever said a slur that had to be cut. It's just something that might not land totally well, that I think, hey, someone might not. This could offend somebody, and it's not really that funny to leave in, so I get rid of it.
Yeah, it's nothing. It's nothing like awful.
No,
So.
no, nothing horrible. But today we're talking about someone pretty horrible.
I don't know. He has a song named after him.
That doesn't mean he was good. That does not mean
He
it's
has
a good
great villain song.
Yeah, it's a good
In a
song.
movie, in an animated film that features him, he has a great villain song.
Yeah, In the Dark of the Night, badass song. Also,
I think you just spoiled it, Amanda.
That's fine. It's fine. We're talking about one of the great freaks of history, Rasputin.
Well, to be fair, why are you saying it's spoiled? People should be listening to this. He talked about this last week.
I did say we were talking about Rasputin.
Did we say his name? I don't remember.
did say his name.
He did say. He said Greg. He just said.
I think
Rasputin.
we guessed it.
He didn't say Gregory.
I didn't say Grigori. I just said Rasputin, but I did say his name because I mentioned that he was the lover of the Russian queen.
Was he actually, though?
Do you really want to say that, Frankie?
We'll learn that. We'll learn that right now. We'll learn if he was the. What, are they going to sue me? They're dead.
Their ghosts can come back. Don't talk shit about the Tsarina. She didn't sleep with this man.
The ghost of the Tsarina.
She was loyal to her husband.
The ghost of the family that lost power in Russia. Ooh, I'm so scared.
Hey, you need to be nice to this family. The Romanovs did not deserve such a cruel death. You
They
know,
did. Wait. They didn't deserve such a cruel death. That's fair. But they were horrible rulers and
Those things
horrible
can
people.
coexist.
So
yeah,
don't start
they can.
defending them either. I'm not saying I didn't say that. I did say that they did not deserve to die like that, but they're also horrible people. So I don't have to like defend them either.
Their death was just, especially the kids.
Yeah, it's horrible, and it shouldn't have happened that way.
Yeah, their death was rough. This was and this will be my last little tangent before you get into this. We learned this in art history. Whenever they were killed, they were taken into a basement, and I'm not gonna say this right, but I think it was like Yakenberg or it started with a Y. There was a firing squad, and they started firing, and they had so much diamonds, especially the kids. They had so many diamonds sewn in to their clothes that the bullets kind of were bouncing off of them. So they had to go in with muskets and like stab them to death.
Muskets, you can't stab someone with a musket.
Isn't the musket the little thingy?
Bayonet.
Oh, that's a bayonet.
That's a bayonet. It's a bayonet.
But what do you put a bayonet on?
Any kind of gun, actually.
Fuck off. Anyway, it was rough.
So it is rough.
I feel a little bad.
But we're not going to talk much about the death of the royal family, the Tsar's family. What we will be talking about is the mad monk, Russia's mad monk, Rasputin. Not actually a monk. Not actually a monk. But
why do they call him the mad monk? Just because he was all religious?
It's a fun name, isn't it?
It's not.
You need that alliteration. Not. Alliteration is the best.
And because he was a Russian mystic and a holy man known as Russia's mad monk. All right, let's get into him. Grigori Rasputin was born as a peasant in a small village along the Tura River in the Russian Empire on January 21st, 1869.
Oh.
Yeah, Amanda, what's up?
Yeah. So you mentioned that the birthday was in January. We're filming this on January 7th.
That's true.
What was yesterday?
It was your birthday.
It was.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
I love you.
Happy birthday, dear Amanda. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
You asked for that.
I didn't ask.
I am not warmed up. I hope that sounded okay.
You asked for it by mentioning your birthday. You asked for it.
I did not ask to be sung to. Nobody sang to me today.
When I went out. Today isn't your birthday. So.
Well, then you should call your dad and be upset that he didn't sing to you.
But you got extra cake yesterday.
I did get extra cake. By the way, fun side note, my mother picked up my cake that she actually forgot to pick up yesterday. She picked it up today, and as she was driving home with it, it fell off the seat.
That's amazing.
So
that's hilarious.
Did you have cake pudding?
Well, there was pudding in the cake, but actually it wasn't too bad. But yeah, I thought it was really funny. She's like, "You need to open this." So I opened it, and I was like, "What happened?" It still tasted the same though. So yeah, my birthday was yesterday. For those of you who don't know, I'm the oldest one here.
Yeah, you're ancient.
You're decrepit.
All right, you know what? I'm gonna say this exact same thing to you guys.
But you're older than us, so you're very welcome
to. It's fine. It's fine because apparently I'm ancient and decrepit.
Yeah, but
you are now the crypt keeper.
Yeah, we'll always be younger than you. That's just a fact.
Not in my soul.
Your soul doesn't keep time correctly. So.
All right, let's get back to this weirdo. I just wanted to segue because I wanted to.
Rasputin was named for Saint Gregory of Nyssa, named after a saint.
Is it spelled that way?
No, it's spelled the Russian way, Grigori, but it's the same.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Is the saint?
Oh no, the saint is the more Western spelling. Yeah, but that's who he was named after. His father Yefim was a peasant farmer and church elder who was born.
Did you pronounce that right?
Listen, I'm going to say right now, there's so many Russian names. I'm not pronouncing half of them right. I don't care.
I care. I bet you somebody. What if we get people from Russia? By the way, you called him a peasant?
Yeah, he was a peasant.
So are we.
No, he was literally a peasant. That's like the classes in Russia under the Tsar. He was a peasant.
Oh. Well, I thought you were just being mean.
No, he was quite literally a peasant.
I think if Frankie is allowed to be mean to anyone, it is Rasputin.
Yeah, I'm gonna be mean to him. We're allowed to bully this man because of what he's done in his life.
I don't really know what he's done.
Well, you'll learn.
Yeah, that's why I'm interested, because obviously the animated movie Anastasia was incorrect.
Well,
and
yeah.
he did not come back to
real
life.
history.
So his father was a farmer, church elder, born in the same village as Rasputin, and married Rasputin's mother, Anna Prushkova, in 1863.
That one sounded like you actually knew how to pronounce that.
Man, I was confident when I said it. Not at all really confident. I just pretended to know
It
what
was
I was
good.
doing.
That's how it is. That's how it is.
Yevim also worked as a government courier ferrying people and goods. The couple had 7 other children, all of whom died in infancy and early childhood. There may have been a 9th child named Feodosia. According to historian Joseph T. Furman, Rasputin was close to someone named Feodosia and was a godfather to her children, but the records that have survived do not permit us to say more than that.
When was he born?
He was born in 1869.
Nice.
So,
this is really good. No wonder he's such a babe magnet.
Why? Oh, because of the year he was born. Ha 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 ha. Yeah. According to his story, wait, what were you gonna say?
I just that feels like it's a big thing to not know for really not that long ago.
Well, this is one of the reasons why. According to historian Douglas Smith, Rasputin's youth and early adulthood are a black hole about which we know almost nothing. There's a lack of reliable sources and information, but that lacking of reliable sources does not mean there are not fabricated stories about his parents and his youth. One of the reasons why, as you'll learn, why there might not be so much information about Rasputin and his youth and his family at the time is, one, they were poor. Probably not a lot of record keeping going on. He lived in an area of Siberia.
Oh, rough.
And 3, he's tied so close to the Tsar and that ruling class that when the Bolsheviks come into power, there is a lot of attempts to not say demonize completely, because Rasputin did do a lot of terrible things as well, but to make him seem even more evil and hide stuff about him because he was tied to the Tsar, and they want everything that was tied to the Tsar to seem horrible.
So they erase parts of him from history is basically what you're saying.
Probably, yes.
I had something that I wanted to say, and now I don't remember what it was. And it's going to bother me, guys.
Well,
so
if it comes to you, just yell it out.
I'm going to.
I know you. Historians do agree, though, that like most Siberian peasants, including his mother and father, he was not formally educated and was probably illiterate well into early adulthood. Local records from his village or from around that area suggest he had an unruly youth, possibly drinking, small theft, disrespect for local authority. But
me too.
Again, the major crimes were imputed to him later on when they were trying to discredit him, that he had been charged with stealing horses, blasphemy, and bearing false witness. But there's no evidence that he had ever even been charged with these crimes.
I'm sorry, blasphemy?
Yeah, it's a crime back then. You know, it's a religious culture.
I mean, is it still?
No, well, when the Bolsheviks took over, religion was kind of pushed away. Rasputin traveled to Abilak, 250 kilometers northeast of where he had lived, and about 2,800 kilometers east of Moscow, where he met a peasant girl named Praskovia Dobrovina.
Also confident. Way to go.
And after a courtship of several months, they married in February of 1887. Praskovia remained in Rasputin's hometown throughout Rasputin's later travels and rise to prominence and association with the Tsar and his family, and remained devoted to him until his death. They had 7 children together, only 3 of who survived into adulthood, being Dmitri, Maria, and Varvara. In 1897, Rasputin developed a renewed interest in religion and left his village to go on a pilgrimage. According to some sources, he left to escape punishment for his role in a horse theft. Other sources suggest he had a vision of the Virgin Mary.
Oh, cool.
And others suggest that his pilgrimage was inspired by a theological student that he had met at the time.
Question.
Yes.
Is he leaving from his hometown or the town in which he met his wife?
His hometown. They've moved back.
They moved back. Okay. I needed
back to
I
his
needed that
hometown.
information. Thank you.
Yes. He leaves at 28 years old after being married for 10 years. So he got married at 18.
Yikes.
He leaves with an infant son and another child on the way.
Dick. This guy doesn't sound like a good dad.
Earlier, he had taken shorter pilgrimage to the Holy Zenemsky Monastery at Abalak and to Tobolsk Cathedral. But in 1897, when he leaves, he goes to the St. Nicholas Monastery. There he was met and profoundly humbled by an elder known as Makari. He spent several months there, and this is where people think he learned to read and write.
I thought you were about to say this is where he went bonkers.
Well, it might be. He later claimed that some of the monks engaged in homosexuality and criticized monastic life as too coercive.
Cool beans. I would do that too.
Because of this, he left and returned back to his home village, looking disheveled and behaving differently. He became a vegetarian. He swore off alcohol, and he prayed and sang much more fervently than he had in the past.
Brainwashing.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Did he have a head injury?
I don't think he had a head injury.
Are we sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Are we positive?
Not 100%, but
this could have been erased from history.
It may be.
Okay. Because I feel like a head injury could also explain this very quick shift in personality.
I mean, that's true. TBI does do that, traumatic brain injury.
Mm-hmm.
So the years that follow, Rasputin spent as a holy wanderer, leaving his village for months or even years at a time to wander Russia and visit a variety of holy sites, even going as far as Mount Athos, which was the center of Eastern Orthodox monastic life in 1900. But by the early 1900s, Rasputin has developed a small circle of followers, primarily
other crazy people.
Primarily family members and other local peasants who prayed with him on Sundays and other holy days when he happened to be in the village. He built a makeshift chapel in his father's root cellar because he was still living with his parents.
That's awesome.
And they had secret prayer meetings in his father's basement.
Cult.
These meetings, they were the subject of suspicion and hostility from the village priest and other villagers.
Is this like the chestnut party?
What's the chestnut party?
Hannah, back me up here.
You got to tell me what the chestnut party is.
Was it a sex party?
Yeah, it was a sex party that the something of
held
the chestnut.
by the Pope.
Yeah, it was the Pope.
Well, it was rumored that before each meeting, female followers ceremonially washed Rasputin, and they sang strange songs. It was even rumored that Rasputin had joined the Klisti, a religious sect whose rituals were rumored to include self-flagellation and sexual orgies.
Maybe they just watched him because he stank.
It was maybe he did return disheveled when he came back from St. Nicholas Monastery. And
over how many years did it take him to build this cult?
It doesn't mention how many years.
Okay.
But if we're going based on the time when he begins to
he came back from that monastery to now, how many years?
He went to the monastery in 1897, and so this would be from then until about 1904, 1905.
Okay, so just under 10 years.
It was rumored that he had perverted Christie beliefs into a doctrine that one was nearest God when feeling holy passionlessness, and that the best way to reach such a state was through sexual exhaustion. Yeah, Amanda's a fan of that, apparently.
Ugh, you just gotta nut real hard
And
and you'll
then,
see
yeah,
God.
apparently that's okay. That's what some people say he believed. According to Furman, repeated investigations failed to establish that he was a member of this sect, and rumors that he was a Clist appear to have been unfounded. But this was what's going around at the time and later on.
That's awesome.
So whether it's real, whether they're false rumors spread by the Bolsheviks later on, whether they're false rumors spread by the people by his contemporaries who did not like him,
I
but
really like it.
word of his activity and charisma began to spread in Siberia during the early 1900s. At some point, either 1904, 1905, which is why I gave you that time frame, Hannah, he traveled to the city of Kazan, where he acquired a reputation as a wise holy man who could help people resolve their spiritual crises and anxieties. Rumors began to spread that he was having sex with his female followers,
Dope.
but despite this,
No, not dope.
yeah, not dope, not
I
dope,
know.
Amanda.
This is a
I
cult
know.
leader.
I know, but I it's this is this man's weird.
He is weird. He's also an ugly looking fellow. He's not good looking. He is a frightening man.
I'm just very, and this is like a subset of like the sex based thing is like a subset type thing.
There was a sect called the Clisti, and it was rumored that they would self-flagellate and have orgies, and that he had perverted that to the sexual exhaustion thing I mentioned. But there's actually no evidence that he was a Clisti, but there were rumors spread about that at the time.
And this is where the rumors that he's fucking his female fans, basically.
Yes. But
So
he
this
did have,
dude just thinks he's a rock star.
yeah, basically.
He thinks he's a rock star for God.
And then he's going to become a bigger rock star. So despite all of these rumors, several local religious leaders still liked him, including Archimandrite Andre and Bishop Chrysanthemos, who gave him a letter of recommendation to Bishop Sergei, the rector of the theological seminary at the Alexander Nevsky Monastery, and it was arranged for him to travel to St. Petersburg.
I think I know how he gets into what's her namey's pants. Hypothetically.
The Tsarina?
Yeah.
How?
Well, Alexei, which is her son and like
But
the only heir,
yeah,
I was gonna say he had, I think it was, what is it, hemophilia,
yeah. This is
where
all brought up later. He
so
did have hemophilia though.
yeah, which hemophilia is where your blood doesn't clot properly.
Mhm.
So like if you get like a paper cut, you'll just bleed for a while and you could possibly bleed out.
And he healed him, and his
Air
wife
quotes.
was, and the mom was happy about it. Yeah. Well, I will tell you how he healed him, Amanda, and I'm so excited for your reaction.
I'm gonna be upset, aren't I?
So, upon arriving at the Alexander Nevsky Lavra, Rasputin was introduced to the church leaders there, including Archimandrite Theophan, who was the inspector of the seminary, who was well connected in St. Petersburg society, and was the confessor for the imperial family.
You don't just like, did he tell him all of this? Did he tell this man all of their secrets?
No, he didn't tell Rasputin his secrets, but if Rasputin can impress this guy who's connected, and he did impress him, because Theophan was so impressed with Rasputin, he invited him to stay in his home and would become one of Rasputin's most important friends, gaining him entry to many of the influential salons where the local aristocracy would gather for religious and political discussions. It was here that Rasputin would attract some of his early influential followers, many of whom would later turn against him. The reason why he became so popular with this group of people is that alternative religious movements such as spiritualism and theosophy were becoming popular with St. Petersburg aristocracy even before Rasputin showed up. Many of them were curious about the occult and the supernatural.
I like this society.
Rasputin's ideas and strange manners made him the subject of intense curiosity among the city's elite, who, according to Furman, were bored, cynical, and seeking new experiences.
Fuck yeah, I like this.
He also appealed to them because, unlike other holy men who had previously been popular in St. Petersburg, Rasputin was a native Russian.
Ah.
According to Furman, Rasputin stayed in St. Petersburg for only a few months on his first visit and returned to his village in the fall of 1903.
So he can fuck his wife again and get her knocked up.
But other historians argue it's impossible to know whether he stayed in St. Petersburg or returned to his village at some point between his first arrival in 1905. However, regardless of that, by 1905, Rasputin is friends with several members of the aristocracy, including the Black Princesses Milistasa and Anastasia of Montenegro, who had married the cousins of the Tsar, and they were instrumental in introducing Rasputin to the Tsar and his family. Rasputin would first meet Nicholas II on November 1st, 1905, at the Petrograd Palace. The Tsar recorded the event in his diary.
That's so cute.
Writing that he and his empress consort, Alexandra Fyodorovna, had made the acquaintance of a man of God, Grigori from Tobolsk province. Rasputin returned to his village shortly after the first meeting and did not return to St. Petersburg until July of 1906. On his return, he would send Nicholas II a telegram asking to present the Tsar with an icon of St. Simon of Verkhovtya. He met with Nicholas and Alexandra on July 18th and again in October when he would first meet their children. This is what the Tsar wrote of this meeting. A few days ago, I received a peasant from the Tobolsk district, Grigori Rasputin, who brought me an icon of Saint Simon. He made a remarkably strong impression both on Her Majesty and on myself, so that instead of 5 minutes, our conversation went on for more than an hour. At some point, no one knows when exactly this occurred, but at some point, Nicholas and Alexandra become convinced that Rasputin possessed the miraculous power to heal their only son, Alexei, of his hemophilia.
You can't.
Much of his influence within the imperial family stems from this belief that he had, on several occasions, eased Alexei's pain and stopped his bleeding.
Okay.
According to historian Mark Farrow, the Tsarina had a passionate attachment to Rasputin, believing he could heal her son's affliction.
You can't.
You cannot.
You can't
Yeah,
heal
you can't
hemophilia.
Harold Schuckman wrote that Rasputin became an indispensable member of the royal entourage. It's not clear when he first learned of Alexei's hemophilia or when he first acted as a healer, but he may have been aware of the condition as early as October 1906 and was summoned by Alexandra to pray for Alexei when he had an internal hemorrhage in the spring of 1907. Alexei
What
would
is
recover.
this kid doing?
Alexei would recover the next morning. And Alexandra's friend, Anna Vyubova, became convinced that Rasputin had miraculous powers and became one of his most influential advocates. So Alexei has an internal hemorrhage. He recovers the next morning after Alexandra has asked Rasputin to pray for him. And then one of her friends believes that he did pray for him, and now, because of that, Rasputin healed him.
What is this kid doing? What is this kid doing to get an internal hemorrhage?
Well, he's going to have another internal hemorrhage in 1912, so don't
What
worry.
is he
just
doing?
being a child.
He's just being a child, yeah.
That's the thing with hemophilia. Like, you get a paper cut, it better be in some place not near an artery.
I mean, I get that, but like, does hemophilia make you hemorrhage internally way more easily?
Yes.
Oh, well, that explains a little bit. So, like, really a big poop could
not
like
a
make
big poop, but like if he was like running around down outside and like fell on rocks, he's screwed.
And you'll hear why he gets the other internal hemorrhage.
Am I
It
gonna
can
be
happen to
upset?
him.
Am
Maybe, I
I
don't know. So in November of 1906, Rasputin suddenly paid a visit to the Baranitsky family in Kazan. And the reason I'm telling you this story is to show you the behavior of Rasputin towards these rich families and families close to the imperial court. At this dinner, he told them he could read people's minds.
dope?
And then his behavior, coming from Olga Ilyan's description of this dinner, it's a very small description, but valuable to learn how Rasputin behaved. I'll read the quote here. At the very beginning of dinner, when Nastya was about to put a plate of soup in front of Rasputin, he wanted to get out a comb, and he began to run it through his oily hair. The plate was quickly cleared away, and Nastya waited with stony disdain for him to finish his task. So he just stopped dinner so he could comb his hair.
I
Uh-huh.
think this man suffered a head injury on one of his travels.
I'm kind of with Hannah on this one.
I
So
have no explanation other than that.
during the summer of 1912, Alexei developed another hemorrhage in his thigh and groin after after a jolting carriage ride near the imperial hunting grounds, which caused a large hematoma to develop. In severe pain and delirious with fever, Alexei appeared close to death. In desperation, Alexandra asked Vera the one who believes he healed Alexei in 1907, to send Rasputin a telegram because he was in Siberia at the time, asking him to pray for Alexei. Rasputin responded quickly, telling the Tsarina, God has seen your tears and heard your prayers. Do not grieve. The little one will not die. Do not allow the doctors to bother him much. The next morning, Alexei's condition was unchanged, but Alexandra was encouraged by the message and regained hope that he would survive. His bleeding stopped the following day.
So this
Here's
man
the
just
thing.
got extremely lucky.
I will tell you why after I finish these next few quotes.
Here's the thing. All Rasputin did there was just send a very kind message. He did
Mm-hmm.
nothing.
Yeah, he didn't do
He
shit.
he
He just said it'll be okay.
He did do something,
Well, he said don't
which
let the
I'll
doctors
review.
near the child.
Yes, and that important part is what probably saved Alexei's life that day.
Yeah, but the
I'll
doctor
get to it
still
why.
didn't know shit.
Dr. S.P. Fedorov, one of the physicians who attended Alexei, admitted that the recovery was wholly inexplicable from a medical point of view. Later, Dr. Fedorov admitted Alexandra could not be blamed for seeing Rasputin as a miracle man. Rasputin would come in, walk up to the patient, look at him, and spit. The bleeding would stop in no time. How could the Empress not trust Rasputin after that?
What?
Wait,
He just spit.
figuratively or literally?
Literally.
He literally spit on this kid.
I don't think he spit on the kid, but he would spit. Historian Robert K. Massey has called Alexei's recovery one of the most mysterious episodes of the whole Rasputin legend. The exact cause of the recovery is not clear, but speculation that Rasputin's suggestion not to let the doctors disturb Alexei, one, aided his recovery by allowing him to rest and heal.
Right.
His message also may have aided Alexei's recovery by calming his mother down and reducing Alexei's emotional stress. Rasputin's assurances calmed the anxious, fretful mother and filled her with unshakable confidence, and she in turn transferred this confidence to her ailing son. Alexandra believed Rasputin had performed a miracle and concluded he was essential to Alexei's survival. Some historians and writers, such as Pharaoh, claim Rasputin stopped Alexei's bleeding through hypnosis.
No.
No.
And other historians, including memoirist Pierre Gillard, Alexei's French language tutor, have speculated, and this is, in my opinion, the most likely reason why the line, don't let the doctors near him, and refusing to let medical professionals around when he was having these internal hemorrhages, saved his life. by forcing the doctors away, and more specifically, by forcing the doctors away, this disallowed the administration of aspirin, which was known back then to relieve pain, but unknown to be an anti-clotting agent.
That makes so much sense.
So he would stop them from giving him the medicine that stopped the pain, but that medicine was also increasing the rate of the blood flow.
Man,
Could you
doctors are
imagine being a
stupid.
time traveler?
I know.
Going back to this time, specifically to like displace Rasputin and just telling the royal family aspirin is bad.
Yeah, so basically by forcing himself into the situation and trying to become the focal point, which meant getting rid of the doctors, he did save this kid's life, because we wouldn't find out that aspirin was an anti-clotting agent until the 1950s.
Ooh,
Again, imagine you're a time traveler and you go to the Russian royal family and you say, listen, don't give this child aspirin. He will die. Aspirin is a blood thinner.
You'll be the next Rasputin, Hannah.
Yeah. Yes.
Hannah Rasputin.
Yes.
ugh.
But here's the thing. I'm not going to be like, it's okay, we're going to pray. We're not going to do that. We're going to prevent the unnecessary slaughter of this family. Not because they're good people, just because they didn't deserve to be slaughtered.
Well, Rasputin's not why they were slaughtered.
He is a big part of the tipping point.
That is true. He's part of he's part of the straw that broke the camel's back.
Exactly.
I mean, the kids did deserve to die.
Yes, that's what I want to go back in time and prevent.
Yeah,
That's what I've decided.
Just because
Bury
your
them
parents
away
are
to a corner
assholes.
of a world and be like, you're going to live here. You're a farmer now.
Yeah.
So
Just because your parents are assholes doesn't mean that you deserve to die.
this is now where Rasputin starts to get a little creepy.
Oh, he wasn't creepy before? He wasn't
gets-
combing his greasy hair at dinner?
He gets even creepier because
Okay.
the Tsarina believed he saved Alexei's life.
He started sleeping in bed with her.
Alexei and his siblings were taught to view Rasputin as their friend and to share their confidences with him. In the autumn of 1907, their aunt, the Grand Duchess Olga Alexandrovna, was escorted to the nursery by Nicholas to meet Rasputin. Rasputin was in the nursery with Maria, her sisters, and a brother Alexei, who were all wearing long white nightgowns. Olga recalled all the children seemed to like him. They were completely at ease with him. Rasputin would send messages to the children, writing to the 9-year-old Maria in one telegram in 1908, "My dear Pearl M., tell me how you talked with the sea, with nature. I miss your simple soul. We will see each other soon. A big kiss."
I was hoping this was just fun, weird uncle territory.
No, it's not.
It's not.
I mean, writing a big kiss is different. I'll be honest. I've gotten kisses on the cheek from my uncle. I don't think that's weird.
Well,
I don't think the big kiss part would be weird if it wasn't "I miss your," followed by "I miss your simple soul."
Okay.
In a second telegram, he wrote, "My dear M, my little friend, may the Lord help you to carry your cross with wisdom and joy in Christ. This world is like the day. Look, it's already evening. So it is with the cares of the world." In February of 1909, he sent all the children a telegram advising them to love the whole of God's nature, the whole of his creation, in particular this earth. The Mother of God was always occupied with flowers and needlework.
Rude.
One of the girls' governesses, Sophia Ivanovna Tucheva, was horrified in 1910 when Rasputin was given permission to access the nursery when the 4 girls were in their nightgowns.
Oh, no.
She wanted Rasputin barred. In response, Nicholas did ask Rasputin to end his nursery visits because he was afraid that she would speak about Rasputin in a negative light.
It's not the reason he should be giving.
That is not the reason he should be giving. No.
I don't like this.
Maria's 12-year-old sister, Tatiana, wrote to her mother on March 8th, 1910, begging Alexandra to forgive her for doing something she did not like. I hope our nurse will be nice to our friend now, referring to Rasputin. Alexandra would fire the governess.
I knew that was coming.
This governess took her story to other members of the imperial family who were scandalized by the reports, though Rasputin's contacts with the children were, by all accounts, completely innocent. There's no official reports that they were not, but
It's still weird.
let's be here. Yeah, it's weird. Nicholas's sister, the Grand Duchess Xenia Alexandrovna, was horrified by the story, writing on March 15th, 1910, that she could not understand the attitude of Alex and the children to that sinister Gregory, who may consider to be almost a saint, when in fact he's only a Clist. He's always there, goes into the nursery, visits Olga and Tatiana while they're getting ready for bed, sits there talking to them and caressing them. They are careful to hide from Sofia Ivanovna, and the children don't dare talk to her about him. It's all quite unbelievable and beyond understanding.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's not good. Another of the nursery governesses claim that in the spring of 1910 that she was raped by Rasputin. Maria Ivanovna Vishnakova had at first been a devotee of Rasputin, but later was disillusioned by him.
Me too.
She did report this, and Alexandra refused to believe her and said that everything Rasputin does is holy.
So your rape was holy.
Yeah, that's what Grand Duchess Olga Alexandrovna, who was one of the people who was on Rasputin's side, was told, or not on Rasputin's side, sorry, was told that the claim had been investigated, but that they caught the young woman in bed with a member of the Imperial Guard, and so she was dismissed from her post in 1913.
I hate this.
I
hate it
also
here.
this.
I hate it here.
It was whispered in society at the time that Rasputin had seduced not only Alexandra, but also the 4 Grand Duchesses.
No. Put those words back in your mouth.
I can't. They came out of my mouth. I can't put them back in. I'm sorry, Hannah.
I don't like that.
Rasputin had released ardent letters written to him by the Tsarina and the Grand Duchesses, which circulated through society and fueled the rumors. Cartoons began to circulate that depicted Rasputin having sexual relations with the Tsarina, with her 4 daughters and Anna Verubva nude in the background.
Gross.
And due to all of this coming out, Nicholas ordered Rasputin to leave St. Petersburg for a time. And Alexandra was not happy about this at all. She was pissed. Displeased. But Rasputin did leave St. Petersburg, and he went on a pilgrimage to Palestine.
Good for him.
That's a very long pilgrimage.
Despite all of this scandal around Rasputin and their association with him, they would be associated with him until his murder. This is from a letter Alexandra wrote to Nicholas on December 6th of 1916. Our friend is so contented with our girlies, says they have gone through heavy courses for their age, and their souls have much developed. In his memoirs, A.A. Mordvinov reported that the 4 Grand Duchesses appeared cold and visibly terribly upset by Rasputin's death, and sat huddled up closely together on a sofa in one of their bedrooms on the night they received the news. He reported that the young women were in a gloomy mood and seemed to sense the political upheaval that was about to be unleashed. Rasputin was buried with an icon signed on its reverse side by all 4 Grand Duchesses and their mother.
How'd this man die?
We'll get to his death in a bit. It's
what?
It's an exciting death.
Ah.
So the imperial family's belief that Rasputin had healing powers brought him status and power at court. He filled this role but with his ability to read their inner hopes and tell them what they wanted to hear. He encouraged Nicholas to have more confidence in his role as Tsar, and Alexandra found that Rasputin's counsel soothed her anxieties. By the onset of the First World War, Rasputin was providing political advice and making recommendations for ministerial appointments. He presented himself in the imperial court as a holy man, despite having no formal affiliation with the Russian Orthodox Church. And he spoke as a self-appointed representative of the peasantry. But his behavior away from the court offered a different portrait. His drunkenness and affairs with women of all social backgrounds, from street prostitutes to society ladies, scandalized the public. He appeared to bask in his fame, showing off shirts that were embroidered for him by the Empress and inviting her friends and servants to his home in his village. He would take them back to his home in his hometown, and his wife was untroubled by all of this,
I would be
com-
troubled.
commenting he has enough for all.
Oh,
She didn't want to have another kid. She's just like, if it's not me, it's fine.
yeah, she was just like, nah, I'm good.
So Nicholas also appointed Rasputin as his lampandinik, which is lamplighter, charged with keeping the lamps lit before religious icons in the palace, which gained him regular access to the palace and the imperial family, even more than he had.
I was really hoping you were going to say that Nicholas appointed Rasputin as the lamplighter and he just went around lighting lamps in the Tsar's presence.
In St. Petersburg, yeah.
Yeah, just he followed him around and just every time he entered a room, he lit a lamp.
You better make sure that Nicholas ain't walking in the dark. All right?
Exactly. Yes.
By December of 1906, he had become close enough to ask a special favor of the Tsar.
Oh,
that
I
he
can't
be
wait. I cannot wait.
that
Good.
he be permitted to change his name to Rasputin Novi, which translates to Rasputin New.
Gross.
He was granted this request, and his name was changed to Rasputin Novi. What a stupid request!
Mm-hmm.
It could have been a lot worse.
It could have been, yeah.
Yeah, it could have
It
been
could have been
Rasputin.
it could
Real
have
cool
been
guy.
marriage to the oldest daughter.
That's true. It could have been. Rasputin would use his position to full effect, accepting bribes and sexual favors, and working diligently to expand his influence.
This man just wanted to be the Pope.
Rasputin became a very controversial figure. His enemies accused him of religious heresy and rape, and he was suspected of exerting undue political influence over the Tsar, and as said earlier, rumored to be having an affair with the Tsarina.
That was never proven, correct?
The
That is
affair?
a lie made up by
His political enemies at the
yeah.
time.
That is a outright lie. He never slept with the Tsarina.
But he did encourage the rumors.
Why?
Why did Rasputin encourage the rumors?
Yeah.
Why
Made him
wouldn't
seem
he?
powerful.
Yeah.
Does it not make you seem powerful to encourage rumors that you are sleeping with the Tsarina while also giving political advice to the Tsar?
That could make you hella dead.
But the Tsar didn't kill him. In fact, every time the Tsar forbid him from doing something or sent him away, he was brought back. At the existence of the Tsarina, most times, opposition to his influence began to grow within the Eastern Orthodox Church. In 1907, the local clergy of his hometown denounced him as a heretic. And the bishop
It only took how many years?
I know. The bishop of Tobolsk launched an inquest into his activities, accusing him of spreading false Kleist-like doctrines. In St. Petersburg, he faced opposition from even more prominent enemies, including the prime minister and the Tsar's secret police.
Fuck yeah, the secret police.
Having ordered an investigation into Rasputin's activities, the prime minister confronted the Tsar, but was unable to rein in Rasputin's influence or exile him from St. Petersburg as he wanted.
The Tsar sounds like kind of a cuck.
He does. In 1909, one of Rasputin's early supporters accused him of rape, another one, and they sought aid from Theophan, who had become convinced. Remember, Theophan's the one who was a huge aid when Rasputin first came to St. Petersburg.
Mm-hmm.
But now was convinced that Rasputin was a danger to the monarchy. Rumors multiplied that Rasputin had assaulted his female followers and behaved inappropriately on visits with the imperial family, particularly with their teenage daughters, Olga and Tatiana. During this period, The First World War has started. The dissolution of feudalism in Russia has begun, and a meddling government bureaucracy all contribute to rapid economic decline in Russia. And many people blame Alexandra and Rasputin.
I would like to make a little side note right here. Not they used Alexandra as a scapegoat because she was a foreigner.
Yes,
Yeah,
because
sure.
she was a German princess.
So they found her to be an easy target as well, based on her foreign status and her alliance with Rasputin.
Yes. One outspoken member of the Duma, which is Russia's parliament, said that the Tsar's ministers had been turned into marionettes whose threads have been taken firmly in hand by Rasputin and the Empress Alexandra Feodorovna, the evil genius of Russia, and the Tsarina, who has remained a German on the Russian throne and alien to the country and its people. Soldiers on the World War I Eastern Front spoke of Rasputin of having an intimate affair with Alexandra, passing it off as common knowledge.
Common gossip.
As the war began to progress, outlandish stories spread throughout the front, including Rasputin's supposed treason with the German enemy, including a fantastical tale that he sought to undermine the war by starting a cholera epidemic in St. Petersburg with poisoned apples imported from Canada.
There's a lot going on in that sentence.
That's how evil they thought Rasputin was at this point.
Is this actual is there writing like letters from the time saying this, or was this one of the things brought up post murder?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
What the public thought they knew about Rasputin had a greater impact than his actual views and activities. It's all about how he was perceived. But he was perceived negatively now, and that began to fuel demands he be removed from his position of influence by any means necessary. Occasionally, he offered military advice, but his ideas never proved beneficial. In fact, he was the one who advised Rasputin, and the Tsarina were the ones that advised the Tsar to take personal control over the Russian army in August of 1915.
The man who literally never fought a day in his life.
Exactly. And that led to the Tsar becoming the target of blame for all of Russia's defeats in World War One.
It's funny because had he led troops to battle, this would be a very, very different history.
Yes. And further fueling the idea that the Tsarina and Rasputin were conspiring against the Tsar himself, while the Tsar is away leading the army, there's a vacuum of leadership filled by the Tsarina. She's the next in line. And during this time, even though the Tsarina is officially in charge, Rasputin appoints his own church ministers and other public officials with her blessing. So on July 12th, 1914, a 33-year-old peasant woman attempted to assassinate Rasputin by stabbing him in the stomach outside his home in his home village. For a time, he was seriously wounded by this, and for a time it was not clear if he would survive. But he had surgery and recovered in hospital, and he made it out alive. The woman was a follower of Iliador, a former priest who had supported Rasputin before denouncing his sexual escapades. Iliador was a radical conservative and an anti-Semite who had been part of a group of establishment figures who attempted to drive a wedge between Rasputin and the imperial family. When this failed, Iliador was banished from St. Petersburg and defrocked. The woman claimed to have acted alone, having read about Rasputin in the newspapers and believed him to be a false prophet and an antichrist. But the police
she was right on one of those things.
Yeah, he is a false prophet. The police and Rasputin believed that Iliador had instigated the assassination attempt, and Iliador fled the country before he could be questioned. But the woman was found to be not responsible for her actions by reason of insanity. But Rasputin was murdered. Here's how it goes down, Amanda.
I'm ready.
A group of nobles led by Perishkovich, the Grand Duke Dmitry Pavlovich, and Prince Felix Yusupov, the richest man in Russia, and the husband of the Tsar's only niece. Felix Yusupov he lived a aimless life of privilege. One of Nicholas II's daughters, Grand Duchess Olga, worked as a nurse during the war and criticized Yusupov for his refusal to enlist, writing to her father, Felix is a downright civilian, dressed all in brown, virtually doing nothing, an utterly unpleasant impression he makes, a man idling in such times.
She came for him.
Being a part of the plot to murder Rasputin gave Yusupov the opportunity to reinvent himself as a patriot and man of action, trying to protect the throne from a malign influence. The removal of Rasputin would give Nicholas II one last chance to restore the reputation and prestige of the monastery. That's what these conspirators thought. With Rasputin gone, the Tsar would be more open to the advice of his extended family, the nobility in the Duma, and less dependent on Alexandria. They hoped he would return from the military headquarters and govern from St. Petersburg. They thought that Rasputin and his influence was a threat to the entire Russian Empire. So they would lure Rasputin to Yusupov's Moika Palace. So on December 30th, 1916, at the Moika Palace, Rasputin was murdered. He died of 3 gunshot wounds, one of which was close range shot to his forehead. That is the only thing that is certain about his death. According to some historians, what really happened in December will never be known. Yusupov has memoirs that he wrote, and he recounts this event, and it's the most frequently told version of what happened. And so I will tell you what Yusupov says happened to Rasputin on the morning he was killed. So according to Yusupov, Rasputin was invited to his palace to meet his wife Irina, who was away at the time, shortly after midnight, and ushered into the basement. Yusupov offered Rasputin tea and cakes laced with cyanide. After initially refusing the cakes, Rasputin began to eat them, and to Yusupov's surprise, appeared unaffected by the poison. Rasputin then asked for some wine, which had also been poisoned, and drank 3 glasses, but still showed no signs of distress. At around 2:30 a.m., Yusupov excused himself to go upstairs and meet with his fellow conspirators and say, hey, he's not dead yet. So Yusupov took a revolver from Pavlovich, returned to the basement, and told Rasputin he better look at the crucifix and say a prayer. Then shot him once in the chest. Meanwhile, Pavlovich, Sukhotin, and Lazavert, 2 other people involved in this, drove to Rasputin's home in St. Petersburg, with Sukhotin dressed up in Rasputin's overcoat and hat to make it look like he came home. Meanwhile, Perishkovich and Yusupov stayed at the palace. According to Yusupov, when he returned to the cellar, Rasputin opened his eyes and screamed.
Jesus Christ.
This man has plot immunity.
He jumped to his feet and began to attack Yusupov. In each retelling of the story, Yusupov would make Rasputin more superhuman and demonic. And some historians believe this was to assuage his guilt at killing an unarmed man. Yusupov wrote, this devil who was dying of poison, who had a bullet in his heart, must have been raised from the dead by the powers of evil. There was something appalling and monstrous in his diabolical refusal to die. So Yusupov runs out of the cellar. Rasputin escapes out of a side door into the courtyard, crawling and screaming like a wounded animal. Perishkovich, according to his version of events, shot at Rasputin 4 times. 2 of the shots missed. The 3rd hit him in the back, and the 4th hit him in the head. Others, such as the Tsar's eldest daughter, Olga, believe that Grand Duke Dmitri, a professional soldier, fired the actual fatal shot. Whoever fired the shot, they then tied up Rasputin's body with ropes, wrapped it in blue fabric, put it in the car, and drove to the Petrovsky Bridge. His body was dropped into a hole in the ice of the river Neva. According to Rasputin's daughter, He was still alive when he was thrown into the water.
And how would she know that?
She wouldn't know that.
That's what I
Hannah,
thought.
it's impossible for her to have known that.
That's what I thought.
She
That's what I thought.
wasn't there.
I know.
Rumors immediately began to spread in St. Petersburg that Rasputin had been murdered.
With some like little old lady watching all this go down. She's just sitting there getting the tea.
There are other rumors. One rumor is that the Grand Duchess Tatiana, who was alleged to have been raped by Rasputin, was present at the site disguised as a lieutenant of the guards so that she could revenge herself on Rasputin. The
I stand
French
behind that.
the French ambassador to Russia wrote that Tatiana supposedly witnessed Rasputin's castration, but he doubted the credibility of that rumor.
By the way, I'm looking at Wikipedia right now,
Mhm.
and there's just a fucking photo of
Of
this
his
man
dead body, yeah.
yeah, of his corpse with a bullet wound in his head.
So Dr. Carolyn Harris of the University of Toronto published a report on Rasputin's death on the 100th anniversary. Gave record that the actual death is way less dramatic than what Yusupov wrote. An autopsy by the official surgeon involved has no record of poison or drowning, simply records death as a single bullet fired into the head. And Rasputin's daughter said that her father didn't like sweet food and would not have even eaten a cake. News of Rasputin's murder began to spread quickly before his body was even found. According to Smith, Brishkovic spoke openly about the murder to two soldiers and a policeman who were investigating reports of shots fired. An investigation was launched the next morning, and the Stock Exchange Gazette ran a report of Rasputin's death after a party in one of the most aristocratic homes in the center of the city. The elite, where all of the killers came from, rejoiced and applauded the killers when they appeared in public. The peasantry mourned Rasputin as one of their own, seeing the murder as one more example of the nobility controlling the Tsar, that when a peasant rose to a position of influence with the Tsar, he was murdered by the wealthy. The Minister of the Interior started an investigation into the disappearance and the murder of Rasputin. On the afternoon of December 30th, a brown boot was retrieved from the frozen water, and two workmen discovered blood on the railing of the Petrovsky Bridge. The police began searching the area, and his body was found under the river ice 200 meters downstream from the bridge on January 1st. The city's senior autopsy surgeon examined the body, and his report was lost. But he later stated the body had shown signs of severe trauma, including gunshot wounds, a slice wound to his left side, and other injuries, many of which had been sustained post-mortem. He found a single bullet in Rasputin's body, but stated it was too badly deformed and of a type too widely used to trace. There was no evidence that Rasputin had been poisoned, and there was no water in Rasputin's lungs. He was not thrown into the water alive. Neither was he castrated. The coroner found his genitals intact.
Good for him. Because they were
No,
important
I'm
to him.
disappointed in that part.
Yeah, they were important to him.
So many Russians, Swedes, and Germans at the time believed that the British Secret Service had been involved in the murder.
Good.
The motive was that Rasputin was known to be against the war, and the British feared he would try to broker a peace deal with Germany. The British agent, according to the theory, the British agent involved in the murder, who possibly even fired the fatal shot, was Oswald Rayner, a close friend of Yusupov from his time at Oxford. The Tsar himself said to the British ambassador that he'd heard British agents were involved in the murder. The ambassador strongly denied it. George Buchanan, who was the ambassador at the time, there's documentation of this, had heard about a plot to kill Rasputin roughly a week before it happened. But there's no actual evidence to suggest that the British were involved. His murderers all got away with it. Prince Yusupov was banished to a distant estate, and Grand Duke Dmitry was exiled to Persia, and everyone else involved got no punishment.
Interesting.
Oh no, the rich have to go live their days in their country estate.
Yeah, I know. Yusupov would eventually move to America, and short of money, would cash in on his notoriety as Rasputin's murderer by writing memoirs about the event, which is where we get the reports of that amazing story I told you
Uh-huh.
of how he killed Rasputin.
How 3 bottles of wine didn't take him out.
Yeah, how he was poisoned, shot 3 times, stabbed apparently,
Don't forget
and
castrated.
castrated and thrown into the water, and that's what killed him. He drowned.
Yeah.
Rasputin was buried on January 2nd at a small church that Anna Virubova had been building. The funeral was attended only by the imperial family and a few of their friends. Rasputin's wife, mistress, and children were not invited.
Whoa! What? That's such a low blow.
Although his daughters did meet with the imperial family later that day.
Was his wife just not bothered to come to the funeral then?
No, they weren't invited.
Well, I know they weren't invited, but you didn't say that she
Oh,
met
if they
with
met with
the
the imperial
Tsarina.
family?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know if they maybe
So like that makes me believe that the wife just could not be bothered about this whole thing.
maybe. Yeah, but she did seem to support him his entire life.
Well, I'm sure he was sending money back to the family.
Probably, yeah. The imperial family planned to build a church over Rasputin's gravesite. However, his body was exhumed and burned by a detachment of soldiers on the orders of Alexander Kerensky shortly after Nicholas abdicated the throne in March of 1917, so that his grave would not become a rallying point for supporters of the old regime. That's the end of Rasputin.
No, no, no. Oh, no, 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 no. You forgot. You forgot one thing. His daughter.
Well, I was gonna bring up his daughter. Yeah, we're done with Grigory. He's dead. His body has literally been burned. It's gone. There's not a single part of him that can be found on this earth anymore. But his daughter,
Incorrect.
his
Yeah.
daughter, well, she's not on the earth either. She's dead.
Yeah, but she had children.
She did. I will bring up one of his daughters, Maria Rasputin. She would leave Russia after the October Revolution and emigrate to France and later the United States. In the United States, she worked as a dancer and then as a lion tamer in a circus.
I'm looking at some of her outfits.
Are they good outfits?
They're intense. Think of like Norma Desmond from Sunset Boulevard, but with a whip.
That's a low-key scary picture.
A little bit.
But
No. There's one more thing about this woman. She apparently she kept insisting that all of these negative stories were just slander and based on misinterpretation by its enemies, and said that it was said that she painted this like saintly picture of her father.
well, there's the end of Rasputin.
No, Frankie, you forgot another thing.
Yeah, there's a Boney M song that fucking slaps. It's a great song.
Yes.
It's a banger. It's got a great dance on Just Dance.
Does it?
Yeah, have you ever seen that dance? It's the one
I'm
where
not.
they like it's a funky dance. It's hard to describe it, but it's pretty cool.
I'll look it
It's
up
a hard
afterwards.
dance. It's a hard
It
dance
is
to
hard,
do.
yeah. But that's our well, I don't want to say that. That's the life.
You were gonna say that's our boy.
I
weren't you?
was. I'm so used to saying it, but he's not our boy.
He's not.
My homies hate Grigori Rasputin.
That was this weirdo, Rasputin.
Yeah. That was this freak in history.
So he was a villain. So like the movie Anastasia didn't get it that wrong.
He was a villain. He's a horrible human being. He used his position.
He was a cult leader.
He was a cult leader. He used his position to have sex with people. He caressed young girls.
All
Whether
right.
it went further than that, we don't know, but that happened.
That
He was accused multiple times of rape, so I doubt that one of them wasn't true. All around bad guy.
yeah.
Grigori Rasputin. And I'm comfortable saying that, you know?
He had a great villain song.
In a
That's
movie,
the
yeah.
only good thing about him.
And he's a fun character in The King's Man.
The King's Man.
Yeah, the prequel film to The Kingsman.
I've never watched any of those films.
Oh no, they're good, Hannah.
I know there's a pug.
There is
Oh,
a
there's
pug.
good.
But so yeah, very good films. But yeah, he's one of the villains in that movie too. Because you can't have a movie where Grigori Rasputin is the good guy.
I would love for someone to try.
It'd
Like,
be
what is
horrible.
that fever dream of a film?
It'd be horrible. Awful.
That's why I say fever dream.
That's the end of my episode. I want to continue to teach you guys about weird events and weird fucking freaks in history.
I have a good freak for you.
Oh, I'm excited to hear about it.
You want me to tell you now or
No, just like text me it, and
oh,
maybe I'll do an episode later about him.
okay.
That's the end of today. Our episode. Next week, we have another Scooby Doo review to come at you. We have the Scooby Doo Show.
Or Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Season 3, as it's sometimes called.
Yes. From 1976. We have 2 episodes of that. Hannah will be talking about High Rise Hair Razor.
I promise to watch the correct episode this time.
That'd be good.
Yes.
That'd be good. And I will be talking about the Spirits of 76.
Oh, so I don't have to do shit.
No, Amanda, if you want to watch the episodes, that'd be nice.
Incorrect.
You don't
No.
I
have
think
to.
you should. It's Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, I watch all the episodes.
I don't want to
Not
because
all
I
of
want
them,
to hear.
but-
I want to hear before I watch it again. I will watch it just after we do the thing, because I like to hear how you guys explain it first.
Yeah, I'm so good at it.
Don't beat yourself up, man.
But yeah, so we'll talk about Scooby-Doo next week. I'm excited. I love our little Scooby-Doo journey.
They're always a good break because we always have so much to say.
That is the end of this week's episode. So let's quickly take care of some business and we will wrap up. If you would like to, please follow us or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts from. Please leave us a review, please, 5 stars. We'd like that. If you'd like to leave us a review that's not 5 stars and give us some criticism, if you would like to ask us some questions, you'd like to give us a suggestion about an episode, your thoughts on an episode, you can send that to us at our email, which is
Nothing to see here podcast at gmail.com. As always, here is spelled Hear. Send
If-
Frankie some freaks of history to talk about.
I'd love to hear about some freaks of history. I love talking about freaks. If you would like to see some great art done by our very own Amanda and some
Right, yep.
fun little memes done by Hannah, you can follow our Instagram, which is
Nothing to see here pod. I have poorly photoshopped The Rock into Snow White and into a presidential campaign at this point. So
Very
go
fun.
check those out.
I always forget the last piece of business. Yes. Please share this with your friends, with your family, with your enemies. Leave it on for your pets to listen to in the background when you leave the house and you want them to calm down, when you want them to have some quality entertainment.
Some educational quality entertainment.
Yeah, we teach you. We teach you about gay vampires. We teach you
Mhm.
about pirates. We
Heck
teach you
yeah.
about therapy talk. We teach
Yeah.
you about freaks of history. We teach you about Scooby-Doo. We teach you about Disney history.
You forgot Jeff the Mongoose.
We teach you about Jeff the Mongoose.
How could you forget him?
I'm gonna be honest, I totally forgot Jeff the Mongoose.
I knew it.
I'm so disappointed in you.
Jeff the Mongoose has left my mind.
Well,
now
you have
he's
to
back.
edit that episode soon, so
I haven't edited that one yet, so
no, you'll get to
yeah.
it soon enough and have a treat.
I'll hear all about Jeff again. I'll relearn.
Hmm.
But thank you guys for listening. We'll be back next Wednesday, like always, with a new episode talking about Scooby-Doo and the Scooby-Doo show, sorry, from 1976. With that being said, this is Frankie.
It's Hannah.
I'm Amanda, and I I'm gonna go make my own cult, but not as bad as this one.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.